The feds are basically saying, you better finish this Mid-Barataria sediment diversion project, which, by the way, Louisiana has the over $3 billion, $3 billion with a B, lined up from the BP oil disaster, ready to finish this project. We're already $500 million in. The amount of money we've poured into the Superdome in the last 5 years, $500 million already into this project, or about 1/6 or so of the total expenditure. And then there's a handful of oystermen and fishermen and some Plaquemine Parish politicos. It may not even be the majority of Plaquemine Parish residents. I would bet you it's not the majority, because it ultimately protects Plaquemine Parish. Some folks are bogging this thing down. Kim Reyher is with us. She's with this nonprofit, the Coalition to Restore Louisiana's Coast, or the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. Kim, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing well. Was I pretty accurate on that introduction as far as the diversion project?
Well, I would say that it's going to benefit not just a bit of the state, not just a parish or two, but all the parishes around the basin.
Yep.
The city of New Orleans. And this project is designed to slow land loss and slow storm surge and make everybody safer.
And bring the Barataria Basin back to how it was originally, right?
Right. It's clear to everyone that what was land is now open water, and we can't just sit around and do nothing. This project needs to be built. It needs to be built yesterday. We need to put the money that's available into the project as quickly as we can. This
project has been scrutinized, over-scrutinized, looked into for what, like 20 years. This project has been talked about, has been researched, has been discussed. Everything's lined up, which is hard to do in Louisiana. And we've got a handful of oystermen and fishermen that don't want their way of life changed. And they're basically stopping this project, or I should say slowing the project down.
I mean, one of our challenges is that change is inevitable. It really is. Our coast is changing, but we have some things we can do. And one of the most important things we can do is use the river to rebuild our wetlands, to sustain the projects we're building. It's going to be the most important thing we can do. And we're really hoping that the decision makers looking hard at this right now look at the whole suite of benefits. It's jobs. It's a whole lot of money in mitigation to communities and fishermen. It's a lot of money that comes with the project. And there's a whole lot of money the state could be on the hook for if the project is canceled.
Yeah, about $500 million the state would be on the hook for.
It's not a good year to have a surprise for the state budget.
No, you're right. Not when there's a budget shortfall. About 1/3 of the Mississippi River goes through the Atchafalaya Basin. And that basin is growing land because of it. It's not levied past the population centers, and it's literally growing land. We even see the Mississippi, at Neptune Pass, Kim, where it is growing, right?
Right. So we know the river can make land. We're watching it happen. The question is, are we going to act to make it happen in the Barataria Basin where we so desperately need that land?
Now, I mentioned the handful of oystermen and fishermen that were that filed the lawsuit, then Plaquemine Parish. Then a judge ruled that the state can proceed without Plaquemine Parish's political thumbs up or, check or yes vote on that. And now we have a governor and even, this is strange, the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority chair, Gordon Dove. He's made comments like, we inherited this, like almost like this problem. We inherited it. And he at best is lukewarm. I would argue against it. The governor at best is lukewarm. I would argue against it. That had to be a real blow to you guys when Louisiana government officials, where the money's all lined up, like I said, are bogging this thing down.
So I think it's important to remember that this isn't a project of the last administration. It's a project of many, many years. And many, many scientists and people looked hard at this problem and asked, what's the most important thing we can do? And this is it. This is the centerpiece of the plan that's been supported in a nonpartisan way for many, many years. I also think it's important to acknowledge that the issues are real. I mean, there are challenges to the fishermen in the basin. But as I said, things are changing. There are challenges in any case. Our shrimpers need our help. They need our support. They need people to be buying and promoting Louisiana shrimp. This project actually produces a whole lot of support for them. The mitigation package will help those fishermen position themselves to deal with other challenges like imports, and they really need that assistance.
No, it only can help the fisheries by creating more fresh water. It only can help the fish. We've got the Gulf, that's salt water. We're going to have brackish as the Gulf approaches Louisiana's wetlands and marshes. So only by increasing the fresh water, we're going to increase all fisheries, right?
It's ultimately going to save the wetlands, which are what underlies all our fisheries. And the wetlands are the nurseries, they're where the baby fish and the shrimp live.
Yeah.
So we need those to have the seafood that's so important to fishermen and to those of us who like to eat seafood.
Now, Kim, you guys
really
are...
Important.
No, go ahead.
I just say it's really important that we pursue this project, get it built.
Yep. Well, you guys are a nonprofit, right?
We are.
Not a government agency.
We are a nonprofit, and we were created 36 years ago, largely around the call to use the river to rebuild our wetlands. We are so fortunate in southern Louisiana that we have this river to sustain our land.
No, we basically levied it off, and all this rich sediment, I mean, nitrogen, all the fertilizer runoff from the Midwest farms, it negatively impacts. The sediment goes off the continental shelf, essentially. And you get this algae bloom out in the Gulf, this big dead zone that's like the size of the state of Delaware.
But we really need to stay focused on the positive, because it's really easy to focus on what we're losing as the land goes down, the water goes up.
Yep.
And the fact that we have a river to build with is incredible. We're so fortunate. Other parts of the country don't have that. So my view is that we need to build the project. That there are good questions to be asked about how we operate it, how we use those mitigation dollars to help fishermen that need help.
Yep.
But we need to build the project.
No, I think there's nearly 400 million of the 3 billion goes to the oystermen and fishermen, right?
At least 378.
Yep. Almost
to mitigation to communities and fishermen.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't get it. Take the money and go fish, or go, farm your oysters a little farther out. I don't get it. That's what's going to happen, right? It's just going to push that out a little bit.
It's going to change where the oysters and the shrimp are productive. And again, I think it's important we acknowledge that those are real challenges. And that's why there's mitigation money.
Yep.
So it's not purely good, but it's entirely better than the alternative of doing nothing and seeing other things threaten those fisheries over time.
So we have this river full of sediment, and all you guys are saying is let's utilize it like the river originally did before we levied it off, right?
Let's do that to build land, and let's take advantage of the economic possibilities around this project.
Hey, Kim, how are you guys funded? And can just regular folks join the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana?
We certainly take donations. We're funded through a mix of grants from foundations, some government grants, and individual donations and sponsorships. So we appreciate any support.
Where are you guys based out of?
We're based out of New Orleans. We also staff in Baton Rouge, and we've got a headquarters site, kind of a greenhouse nursery scene in Violet. But we work across the state.
How can folks get in touch with you guys? What's the website again?
crcl.org for the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana.
Yeah, could just Google it, Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. Any final thoughts, Kim?
There's nothing like spending time on the coast. We build oyster reefs. We do planting. So if you want to come out and get muddy with us as a volunteer, we'd love that.
Nice. You're planting cypress trees and marsh grass and all that type of stuff?
Exactly.
Wow. And Kim, before I let you go, this is just one of the many tools in the tool belt. Y'all aren't against sediment being pumped from one place to another. You're not against barrier islands being rebuilt. You're not against restoration of marsh and wetlands. The opposite. You're for all that, and you're for diversions, obviously.
Exactly. And it's actually unfortunate that so much of the attention is on this one project. Dredging works. It's great. I mean, you can make land. It's real land. We can run on it, jump on it. But it starts to sink as soon as the dredges are turned off. And it's expensive. It's more than we can afford to do that across our coast.
Yep. Yeah, this is a freebie, just busting a hole in the levee essentially and having the river flow into that area with the sediment.
Yeah, we need to do all of that, and it's easy to live here some days and not remember, but it is a crisis. I mean, we really are losing something very special to the state, and we really are losing it. So all these projects are very important.
Kim, thanks so much for joining us.